As the group moved through the ruins, they passed along a dark stone corridor that showed clear signs of age and decay. While riding her horse, Fiona looked around the abandoned passage and explained that conditions in the area had once been far worse. She recalled that food had been almost impossible to find there. Even basic vegetation and grass had disappeared. She went on to explain that the shortage had eventually become so severe that more than a dozen members of her tribe had starved to death. With no way to survive in such an environment, the survivors had been forced to leave and search for another refuge. Hearing her story, Lin Tian reached out and gently held part of her cloak. He reminded her that those events belonged to the past and no longer needed to weigh on her mind. Fiona turned toward him and quietly agreed. Her expression softened before the group continued onward. The mine tunnel stretched deep underground, supported by old wooden beams that lined the passage. After traveling for some time, they noticed a bright light shining in the distance. Go Kwang immediately pointed toward it and excitedly announced that there was light ahead. Before anyone could move forward, Lin Tian ordered the group to stop and wait. He narrowed his eyes and carefully examined the air around them. After a moment, he remarked that he had detected a familiar scent. In his judgment, it smelled like goblins. Realizing caution was necessary, Lin Tian explained that the terrain ahead was unsuitable for a large group to advance together unnoticed. Moving as a unit would only make them easier to detect. He therefore ordered one of his scouts to investigate the area alone. The command was carried out immediately. A goblin scout with glowing red eyes emerged from the surrounding shadows, acknowledged the order, and disappeared once again. A short while later, the scout returned from his mission. Emerging from the darkness, he quickly reported back to the group. Standing before Lin Tian, Fiona, Go Kwang, and the others, the scout revealed that an enormous goblin force was gathered nearby. According to his estimate, there were at least tens of thousands of goblins occupying the area. He then provided a detailed breakdown of their strength. Among the enemy forces were a king-class goblin, 1 dominant class, 3 chief class, 50 hero-class warriors, and more than 300 greater goblins. The remainder consisted of lower-ranked goblins. The scout also reported another important discovery. They were not the only group interested in the goblin tribe. A team of human adventurers had gathered near the entrance of a different tunnel and appeared to be preparing an assault of their own. After hearing the report, Lin Tian considered the information carefully. Based on the scout's observations, he estimated that the adventurers had reached legend rank. Each member likely possessed at least 4,000 combat power, with their average strength potentially exceeding 5,000. After calculating the situation, Lin Tian appeared satisfied with the information he had gathered. He then decided to investigate personally. Leaving the rest of the group behind, he walked alone toward the bright exit at the end of the tunnel. Before departing, he instructed everyone to remain where they were and wait for his signal before taking any action. The story shifted to a different location. Far from the mine, the headquarters of the Dragon Slayer Guild stood proudly behind towering white walls decorated with blue banners. Mounted prominently on the building's exterior was a massive bronze dragon head, serving as a symbol of the guild's achievements. Inside one of the guild's spacious halls, a high-ranking member named Steven stood in heavy black armor. Ranked 44th within the Dragon Slayer Guild, he maintained a respectful posture while facing the guild's leader. Nearby, Elizabeth Tilly, the legendary guild master known as the One-Eyed Owl, rested comfortably on a sofa. Elizabeth appeared completely at ease. A confident smile formed on her face as she questioned where the troublesome little rats had come from. Standing before Elizabeth Tilly, Edward Hitt confidently introduced himself as the King of the Kingdom of Swords. Beside him, a sweating and nervous Gilbert introduced himself as the King of the Three-Leaf Magic Kingdom, while Gilbus cheerfully added that he was a king as well. Seated across the lavish banquet table, Elizabeth Tilly calmly listened in silence. Elizabeth Tilly lounged comfortably on her sofa and casually took a drink from a small bottle. Without showing the slightest concern, she ordered her subordinates to kill the visitors and bury their bodies beneath the demon flowers as fertilizer. The order immediately frightened Gilbert. Desperate to save himself, he hurriedly explained that they had not come with hostile intentions. Instead, they were seeking assistance in hunting an extremely powerful target. That response finally caught Elizabeth's interest. Lowering her bottle, she looked at him with an amused smile and remarked that he should have mentioned the prey first. She then instructed him to explain everything in detail. Gilbert quickly revealed that their original objective had been the conquest of a nearby goblin empire. However, their campaign had unexpectedly been stopped by 3 ancient dragons guarding the area. He described the creatures as enormous, each measuring more than 800 meters in length. According to him, The strongest among them was a terrifying black dragon that was nearly 1,000 meters long. As the room fell silent, Elizabeth admitted that she had never heard of a black dragon approaching that size. Stephen stepped forward and expressed his doubts. He advised his guild master not to take the story seriously, reminding her that the only known ancient dragon exceeding 1,000 meters was the elemental fire dragon. Based on that fact, he concluded that the three men were most likely lying. Before anyone could continue the discussion, Elizabeth suddenly vanished from her seat. In an instant, she appeared directly in front of Edward Hitt. The sudden movement left Edward completely unprepared. A crimson aura erupted from Elizabeth as an energy-cloaked hand seized him by the face and lifted him into the air. Looking at him with a cold smile, she warned that anyone who lied to her would not survive the consequences. Terrified, Edward insisted that every word was true. Suspended helplessly above the floor, he begged her to believe him and repeatedly swore that he was not lying. Elizabeth simply watched him struggle before letting out a quiet laugh. A moment later, she released her grip and slammed him into the floor. Edward crashed onto the tiles and slid backward across the room. Standing calmly beside Stephen with her hands tucked into her pockets, Elizabeth observed that although the man was clearly cowardly, he did not appear to be lying. She then ordered Stephen and several others to investigate the matter personally. If the report proved accurate, she stated that she would become involved herself. Stephen immediately accepted the assignment. He assured her that he would uncover the truth and added that if the men had fabricated the story, they would be executed on the spot. Gilbert quickly spoke up again. Still drenched in sweat, he insisted that the information was genuine. He confidently claimed that the goblin responsible would exceed all expectations and might even become Elizabeth's next worthy prey. The scene then shifted away from the Dragon Slayer Guild and returned to the underground caverns. Deep beneath the surface, a vast goblin settlement stretched across an enormous cavern illuminated by firelight. Dozens of goblins gathered around a massive campfire. Observing the scene from above, someone remarked that the place was much larger than expected. The observer was Lin Tian, who had disguised himself as an ordinary goblin by wearing a brown hood and altering his appearance. Hidden atop a rocky ledge overlooking the settlement, he carefully studied the area below. After examining the structures within the camp, he concluded that the stone building at its center was most likely the Goblin King's residence. Soon, his keen eye skill activated. A blue glow appeared in his vision as the skill began analyzing everything around him. Through its enhanced perception, he discovered 4 human adventurers concealed in the shadows of the cavern. The system immediately displayed their estimated power levels. One possessed a combat rating of 5,400, another measured 6,000, while the remaining 2 each registered around 5,600. After reviewing the information, Lin Tian smiled slightly. It appeared that the adventurers were still waiting for the right opportunity to strike. Rather than continuing to observe, he decided to take action himself. Hidden behind cover near the edge of the settlement, Lin Tian prepared to make his move.